The sky was burning. Above Earth, the alien fleet moved like a wall of metal, stretching across the night sky. Their warships were black and cold, blocking out the stars. Each ship carried weapons powerful enough to destroy cities in seconds. For the people below, there was no escape. The first wave of fire came without warning. Flames swallowed New York. Towers of glass and steel melted like wax. In Tokyo, a flash of light turned whole districts into ash. Across Europe, people ran into the streets, watching their skies rain, with fire. The world, once full of busy cities and human pride, turned into a place of smoke and silence. The aliens spoke through their machines. A deep metallic voice echoed across every device, every screen, every speaker on Earth. Humans, you are weak, you are finished. Bow to your new masters, or be erased from history. No one answered. The silence of billions was their reply. In one destroyed city, a small boy hid under the broken walls of his home. His parents were gone. He pressed his hands against his ears, trying not to hear the alien voice. Above him, drones searched the ruins, red eyes glowing in the dark. The child stayed still, heart racing. He thought this was the end of the world. And, in many ways, it was. The alien invaders were not new to conquest. For centuries, they had crushed other worlds, enslaved other races, taken everything they wanted. They looked at Earth and saw only another prize. To them, humans were nothing, fragile, weak, unimportant. A species made for labor or for extinction. But what they did not understand was simple. Humans do not break so easily. Deep underground, far from alien eyes, small groups of survivors gathered. Some were soldiers, some were scientists. Some were just ordinary people who had lost everything. They had no hope of victory. They had no great weapons. Yet in their hearts, something stronger than fear was growing. It was rage. In a hidden base, below the mountains, an old soldier watched the sky through a cracked screen. He had fought wars before, but nothing like this. He saw Earth burning, and he whispered to himself, "They think we are finished, but they are wrong. They pushed us too far." Around him, others nodded. Men and women with tired faces, blood on their hands, and pain in their eyes. They had seen their families taken, their cities destroyed, their world humiliated. And together they swore one promise: humanity will fight back. The aliens laughed as they walked across ruined streets. Tall, armored, and cruel, they saw no danger. To them, humans were just broken animals waiting to be controlled. Some soldiers of the alien fleet even played games, hunting unarmed humans like sport. They broadcast their victories across their networks, showing other alien empires how easily Earth had fallen. But in their arrogance, they did not notice the small things. A signal sent quietly from one city to another. A group of survivors stealing alien weapons and hiding them. A scientist sketching a strange design in the dirt, while guards thought she was too weak to matter. The seeds of vengeance had been planted. One night, under a blood-red sky, a young resistance fighter stood on the tow, roof of a ruined building. The alien fleet above glowed like 1,000 suns. His hand shook as he raised a stolen rifle. He knew he could not destroy them, not yet, but he whispered words into the night that carried the promise of a whole species. "We are not done. We are not broken. We are waiting." Somewhere deep in space, inside one of the alien command ships, the leaders of the invasion gathered. They spoke with arrogance, declaring the war already won. One of them sneered, "The humans fall faster than others. They have no strength, no unity. Soon their world will be nothing but a memory." None of them noticed the small tremor inside the human spirit. None of them heard the quiet voices spreading underground, voices that carried across the ruins like sparks waiting to become fire. The world was broken, but the story was not over. The child in the ruins, the soldier in the mountains, the scientist in the shadows. None of them knew each other, yet all carried the same fire inside. That fire would spread until one day it would explode across the stars. Humanity had been pushed too far. And when humans are pushed too far, they do not simply surrender. They rise. They fight. and they make the enemy regret every step. Above Earth, the alien fleet shined like a crown of death. But hidden in the ashes below, the first whispers of vengeance had already begun. The story of survival was about to turn into a story of wrath, because the aliens had made one mistake. The greatest mistake any conqueror can make. They forgot that humans, even when broken, never stop fighting, and soon the galaxy would remember that truth in fire and blood. The days after the invasion were silent. Cities that once sang with life now stood empty, filled only with smoke and ruin. Streets that carried laughter, traffic, and busy voices were now graves for millions. The aliens had crushed Earth's defenses with little effort, and they believed humanity would remain quiet forever. They were wrong. In the ruins of London, survivors gathered in the subway tunnels. Families huddled together, hungry and afraid, while alien patrols walked the surface above. Children whispered to their parents, "Why are they here? Why us?" But no answer could calm their fear. The truth was simple. Humanity was enslaved. The aliens worked quickly. They forced humans to dig, to mine, to build. Towers of alien metal began to rise where human monuments once stood, factories filled with smoke, producing weapons for the invaders. In the skies, drones circled constantly, their red lights glowing, like watching eyes. To the aliens, this was order. To the humans, it was humiliation. Among the workers was a young man named Daniel. Once he had been a student. Now he carried heavy metal parts for alien machines, his back breaking under the weight. Every day he remembered the night his family was taken. His father had stood in their doorway trying to protect them, but the aliens struck him down like he was nothing. Daniel's rage burned hotter each day. Nearby, an old woman whispered to him as they worked, "Don't let them break you, they think we are weak. But our anger is stronger than their chains." Daniel said nothing, but deep in his chest he felt those words take root. Across the world, the same fire was rising. In South America, farmers who had lost their fields began hiding stolen alien tools. In Africa, whole villages secretly trained at night, using sticks as weapons while pretending to obey during the day. In Asia, engineers who once built cars now studied alien machines, searching for weaknesses. The aliens saw slaves, but what was really forming was resistance. One night, deep in a camp where humans were forced to sleep on cold floors, Daniel met a soldier named Captain Reyes. She had been part of the Earth's military, one of the few who survived the first wave. Her uniform was torn, her body scarred, but her eyes burned with iron. "You're angry," she told Daniel. He nodded. "Good," she said. "Anger can destroy you, or it can build you. We are going to use it to build something they will never forget." Daniel frowned. "How?" "They have ships. They have weapons. They can wipe out whole cities in seconds." Reyes leaned closer, her voice low so the guards would not hear. "They don't understand us. They think pain breaks us. But for humans, pain becomes strength. They will learn that the hard way." Daniel didn't fully believe her, not yet, but he wanted to. Far above Earth, inside their command ships, the aliens celebrated. They broadcast images of broken cities across the galaxy, boasting about their victory. Their leaders mocked humanity, calling them a short-lived race with no future. They told their soldiers, "Enjoy this world. It is ours now." But cracks were already forming in their control. One evening, in the shadows of a destroyed hospital, Daniel saw something that changed him forever. A small group of humans ambushed an alien patrol. They used only stolen rifles and homemade explosives, but they fought with desperate fury. The aliens fell, shocked and unprepared. Daniel watched as one of the rebels shouted after the fight, his voice echoing through the ruins. "This is our world. We will not kneel." That cry spread like fire. Whispers of rebellion began to move through camps, cities, and tunnels. People who had once been silent now spoke in secret. "We are not done. We will fight." Even children carried the rage. A boy who had lost his family carved words into the wall of a ruined school. "Never forgive, never forget." The aliens did not notice these small sparks. They thought humans were too broken to matter. They did not understand that rage can be quiet, waiting for the right moment to rise. In the tunnels under London, Captain Reyes gathered Daniel and others. She spread out a stolen map of alien positions. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned. "They think we are defeated," she said. "But every day more of us rise. Every day their arrogance grows. We will use that. We will strike when they least expect it." Daniel looked at the faces around him. Soldiers, farmers, engineers, even children. They were tired, starving, wounded. But none of them looked broken. In their eyes, he saw the same fire he carried inside. For the first time since the invasion, Daniel felt something new. Not just rage, not just pain. Hope. The aliens had taken everything: families, cities, freedom. But in doing so, they had awakened something far more dangerous than they imagined: the united anger of an entire species. And that anger was about to change everything, because when humanity is pushed too far, it does not fade away. It rises, and Daniel knew with absolute certainty that soon the world would burn again. But this time, not with human cities. This time it would be alien worlds set on fire. The world above looked dead, but deep under the ground life was returning. In old train tunnels, abandoned bunkers, and broken factories, small groups of humans were gathering. They carried no flags, no uniforms. They were men, women, and children who had lost everything. But what they carried in their hearts was more dangerous than any weapon: the will to strike back. Captain Reyes had found Daniel again weeks later. His hands were rough from work, his face thinner, but his eyes sharper. She had been moving between different camps, quietly connecting survivors. When she returned, she brought news. "The resistance is real," she whispered as the group sat around a flickering fire in the tunnels. "It is not just here. People are fighting in every corner of Earth. We are not alone anymore." The others leaned in, hungry for hope. Reyes spread a map across the dirty floor. It was made from scraps of paper and stolen alien data, patched together like a puzzle. Daniel studied it, noticing red marks showing alien bases, patrol routes, and supply points. "They control the skies," Reyes said. "But they depend on their ground stations. Without those, their fleets are blind. We can't fight their ships yet, but we can cut their eyes and ears." Daniel frowned. "How? We have nothing." Reyes smiled, thin but certain. "We have brains, and we have anger. Together, that is enough." The secret scientist far away in the mountains, another survivor, was working in silence. Her name was Dr. Helena Cade. Once, she was a university scientist, known only in classrooms. Now she was one of the most dangerous people alive. Hidden inside an abandoned mine, Helena studied broken pieces of alien machines. She worked with stolen wires, human tools, and pure stubbornness. Around her, a few helpers watched in awe. The aliens thought humans could never understand their technology, but Helena was proving them wrong. "These circuits," she explained softly to her team, "control energy flow. If we reverse it, the weapon melts itself." One of the helpers, a young boy no older than 16, gasped. "You mean we can destroy their guns with their own power?" Helena nodded. "We can make traps, small at first, but small victories can become large ones." Her hands shook from hunger, but her mind was sharp. She knew the resistance needed more than courage. They needed tools. She would build them. Sparks of defiance. In Africa, villagers hid in the jungle, training in silence. In South America, rebels disguised as workers slipped poison into alien fuel tanks. In Asia, engineers built secret radios, passing messages across thousands of miles. The aliens believed humans were scattered and leaderless. But beneath their feet, a web was forming, thin, fragile, yet growing stronger every day. Daniel began training with Reyes and her fighters. They had no real weapons at first, only knives, old rifles, and courage. They learned to move silently, to strike fast, to vanish before patrols could react. Every lesson burned into Daniel's heart. Reyes told them, "We are not fighting to win every battle. We are fighting to remind them that humans will never be slaves." One night as Daniel lay awake in the tunnels, he heard a faint sound. Music. Someone was playing a broken guitar, strings out of tune, but the sound was soft and beautiful. Others listened in silence, tears on their faces. Even in darkness, humans carried light. The first target weeks later, Reyes called the fighters together. Helena's designs had reached them, smuggled through secret couriers. Now they had their chance. "There is a relay station outside the city," Reyes said. "The aliens use it to guide their drones. Destroy it and they will lose control of the skies, at least for a while." The group was silent. They knew what this meant. For the first time, they were not just hiding. They were striking back. Daniel's heart pounded. Fear twisted inside him, but something stronger rose above it. Rage. He thought of his father's last stand, of the boy hiding in the ruins, of the guitar's broken song. He stood tall. "I'll do it," he said. Reyes nodded. "We all will." Shadows of the future high above, inside their orbiting flagship, the alien leaders remained blind to these whispers of rebellion. They laughed about Earth, speaking of how easily humans had been broken. "Another victory," one commander said. "They are soft. They are slow. By the next cycle, they will serve us fully." But cracks were already spreading. Messages of hope traveled in secret, voice to voice, tunnel to tunnel. "We are not done. We will fight. Humanity will rise again." The aliens thought humans were quiet because they were afraid, but the truth was different. Humanity was quiet because it was planning, and soon the silence would end. Daniel stood with the others in the cold night air, staring at the alien relay station in the distance. The machines glowed blue against the darkness, humming with energy. Guards stood watch, tall and armored, his fists clenched, his heart thundered. For the first time, he felt not just a survivor, but a fighter. Beside him, Captain Reyes whispered, "This is where it begins." The hidden plan was ready, and when it unfolded, the galaxy would learn a lesson it would never forget. Humanity is dangerous when cornered. The night was quiet, too quiet for a world at war. Above the ruined city, alien drones floated like watchful stars, their red lights sweeping over the streets. The relay station stood in the distance, tall, glowing, alive with energy. It looked untouchable, surrounded by armored guards and machines that hummed with alien power. But in the shadows, humans waited. Daniel crouched low, his breath slow, his heart loud. Around him were Captain Reyes and a dozen resistance fighters, each holding stolen weapons and makeshift bombs. Their clothes were torn, their faces hollow, but their eyes burned with the same fire. This was no longer survival. This was war. Reyes whispered, her voice sharp as steel. "Remember, they think we are weak. Let them think it. Use it. Tonight they will learn we are not afraid." The plan was simple but dangerous. Dr. Helena Cade had designed small charges using alien energy cores. If placed on the relay's main power line, the entire station would collapse in seconds, but reaching it meant walking through shadows of death. The approach. The fighters moved silently through the ruins, using the night as their shield. Daniel's hands shook as he gripped his stolen rifle. He thought of his father, of the boy hiding under rubble, of every face the aliens had taken. His fear was still there, but it was no longer stronger than his anger. A drone passed overhead, its red light sweeping across the ground. Everyone froze. For a moment, Daniel thought his heart would betray him with its pounding, but the drone moved on, blind to the danger below. Step by step, they crawled closer. The relay tower loomed above them now, buzzing with strange energy. Alien guards stood tall, their armor glowing faintly. They laughed in their strange tongue, mocking, unaware that death crept toward them. Reyes raised her hand. The signal. It was time. The attack. The first explosion was small but bright. A stolen grenade rolled under the feet of two guards and erupted in fire. The aliens screamed, their armor tearing apart. "Now!" Reyes shouted. The humans surged forward, firing rifles, throwing bombs, moving faster than the guards expected. Daniel's rifle kicked against his shoulder as bullets struck alien metal. For the first time, he saw one of the invaders fall because of his hands. The aliens roared in fury, returning fire. Blue plasma bolts lit up the night, burning holes in walls and ground. One human fighter fell, but the others kept pushing. They were not trained soldiers, but they fought with rage, with desperation, with everything left inside them. Daniel and another fighter reached the base of the tower. Sparks rained down from the chaos above. He pulled the charge from his pack, Helena's invention, small but deadly. His fingers trembled as he pressed it against the glowing power line. The device clicked. Lights flashed. The countdown had begun. "Fall back," Reyes shouted. The collapse. The fighters pulled away, dragging their wounded, firing back at the furious aliens. Daniel stumbled, his ears ringing, his body screaming to stop. But he kept moving, eyes locked on the tower. The device beeped once. Then silence. Then fire. The entire relay tower erupted in a thunderous blast. Blue light exploded into the sky, tearing metal apart, raining debris across the ruins. The ground shook. Alien screams echoed as their machines fell silent. For the first time since the invasion, human eyes looked to the sky and saw something incredible. The alien drones above flickered, sparked, and fell like dead birds. The network was blind. The sky, for a brief moment, belonged to humans again. Daniel dropped to his knees, staring at the burning wreckage. His chest ached, his ears roared, but his heart surged with something he had almost forgotten. Victory. Reyes stood tall, blood on her face, and shouted into the night, "Do you see this? Do you hear this? Humanity is not finished." Her cry echoed across the ruins. Fighters raised their weapons in the air, their voices rising together. For the first time, hope was louder than fear. The aftermath far above, in their command ship, the alien leaders watched in disbelief. Screens showed the destroyed relay, the fallen drones, the dead guards. "This should be impossible," one commander growled. "They are primitive. They cannot fight us." But the proof was before them. Humans had struck, and they had won. Another alien hissed, its voice sharp with unease. "If they can destroy one station, they can destroy more." For the first time, doubt entered their cold, cruel eyes. Sparks across the world. News of the victory spread faster than the aliens could contain it. Whispers passed from camp to camp, tunnel to tunnel. "The relay is gone. We can fight. We can win." In Africa, rebels heard the news and began planning their own strike. In Asia, engineers cheered and built new traps. In South America, villagers raised stolen rifles and swore they would never kneel again. The first strike was more than an attack. It was a message. Humanity was still alive. Daniel's oath later that night. Daniel sat in the tunnels, his hands still shaking from battle. Around him, the fighters tended to the wounded, shared food, and whispered plans for the next attack. He looked at the stars through a crack in the ceiling. The alien fleet still covered the sky, endless and dark. But now he did not see only death. He saw opportunity. He clenched his fists and whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning." Reyes sat beside him, her voice low but certain. "They thought they broke us, but they only made us stronger." Daniel nodded. He knew now what Helena had said was true. Small victories become large ones. And tonight humanity had lit the fire. The first strike had ended. But the war was only beginning. The flames of the relay station still glowed days after its fall. Burned alien metal lay scattered across the ruins, and the ground was scarred where fire had eaten through stone. To the aliens, it was a small loss, a single outpost destroyed. To humanity, it was proof. The giants could bleed. Whispers of the victory spread like wildfire. In the camps where humans were forced to work, people passed the story in secret. "The relay is gone," they whispered. The machines fell from the sky. In tunnels, children drew pictures of burning alien towers on the walls. In villages far away, Farmers looked at the stars with new fire in their eyes. The aliens noticed the change. Their soldiers patrolled more aggressively, shouting louder, punishing harsher. But their cruelty no longer inspired only fear. Now every punishment only deepened the anger. Daniel's transformation. Daniel had changed too. He was no longer just a survivor carrying grief. He was a fighter who had seen the impossible happen. In the tunnels, other survivors began to look at him differently. His hand still shook at times, but his voice carried strength. Reyes saw it too. One evening, as the group sat in a circle planning their next move, she said, "You've become something, Daniel. Not just a fighter. You give them hope." Daniel shook his head. "I'm just angry." Reyes gave a hard smile. "That's exactly why you matter. They are angry too. They see themselves in you." Daniel fell silent, but deep inside he understood. He carried more than his own rage now. He carried the rage of a people. Helena's gift far in the mountain lab. Dr. Helena Cade worked without rest. Her hands were cut, her eyes sunken, but her mind blazed with ideas. She had heard of the relay's destruction and knew the time had come to take bigger steps. Her team gathered around as she showed them a new device. It was small, built from alien scraps and human metal. "This," she explained, "is an energy disruptor. Place it near their weapons or vehicles and the machines will fail. It will not destroy them, but it will give us seconds. And seconds are everything in a fight." The boy who had once asked her questions stared at it in awe. "This could save lives," Helena nodded. "And it will, because every tool we make is another stone thrown at a giant." Her words traveled quickly through the underground network. Soon more resistance groups carried these devices. Humanity's hands were no longer empty. The Empire strikes back. Aliens were furious. In their flagship above Earth, their commanders hissed and growled, their voices sharp with arrogance. "They dare attack us? We gave them a chance to kneel and they respond with defiance. They must be reminded who rules this world." Orders spread across the fleet. The punishment was swift and merciless. Whole districts were burned. Cities already in ruins were crushed further under bombardment. In one attack, an entire underground shelter was destroyed, hundreds of humans buried alive. The message was clear: resist, and you will suffer. But the aliens had made a mistake. Instead of breaking humanity, their brutality fed the fire. Each destroyed city became a symbol. Each death became a vow. Daniel saw the rubble of one such bombing with his own eyes. Survivors crawled out of the dust, coughing, crying, but still alive. He helped lift broken concrete, pulling a child free. The boy's eyes were wide with terror, but when he saw Daniel, he whispered, "Don't let them win." Daniel's chest tightened. He would not. None of them would. A shifting world. The turning tide did not come in a single battle. It came in many small waves. In Africa, a group of rebels ambushed an alien convoy, using Helena's disruptors to disable their vehicles before striking with homemade bombs. In South America, villagers destroyed a fuel depot, flames lighting the night sky. In Asia, engineers hacked into alien comms, broadcasting a single message across captured radios: "We are not slaves. We are free." Every act was small compared to the power of the alien fleet, but together they became something larger. Humanity was no longer only surviving. Humanity was fighting back. The alien prisoner. One night, Reyes led a raid on an alien patrol. It was fast, brutal, and for the first time they captured one of the enemy alive. The alien was dragged into the tunnels, its armor cracked, its glowing eyes filled with hate. Daniel stood before it, heart pounding. He had dreamed of this moment. Reyes asked the questions, her voice steady. "Why are you here? Why Earth?" The alien hissed, its voice harsh and cold. "You are nothing. You are animals. The galaxy has no place for you." Daniel stepped closer, his voice low and fierce. "Then you don't understand us at all. Animals don't fight like this. Humans don't stop." For the first time, he saw something unexpected in the alien's eyes. Fear. The tide. Turns that fear spread slowly through the Empire. Reports of human attacks multiplied. Commanders argued in their ships, unsure how a broken race could rise again and again. On Earth, hope grew like a storm. Songs of resistance began to echo in the dark. Children who once cried now whispered about fighting back. The aliens had wanted silence and obedience. Instead, they had created rage and unity. The tide was turning. Daniel's realization. Late at night, Daniel stood alone, staring at the stars. The fleet still covered the skies, endless and dark. Yet now he saw them differently. They are not gods, he whispered. They are not unbeatable. They can bleed, and if they can bleed, they can fall. He thought of the boy he had saved, of Helena working in the mountains, of Reyes leading the fighters. He thought of every whisper of rebellion across the world, and war was far from over, but something had shifted. Humanity was no longer waiting for death. Humanity was preparing for victory. And the aliens, for the first time, began to realize the truth. They had pushed humanity too far. The world was no longer silent. What began as whispers in tunnels had grown into a storm across the planet. Resistance groups that once fought alone were now connected. Radios crackled with secret codes. Maps were shared across mountains, seas, and ruins. For the first time since the invasion, humanity was not hiding. It was preparing. And the aliens felt it. Reports poured into their command ships. Convoys destroyed. Patrols missing, supply depots burning. One commander slammed his fist against a steel table, snarling, "How can this be? They are weak, they are broken." But the truth was inescapable. Humanity was no longer waiting. Humanity was rising. Reyes's army captain, Reyes had become more than a fighter. She was now a leader. What began as a dozen rebels in a tunnel had grown into hundreds spread across ruined cities. She trained them with stolen weapons, taught them to fight in silence and strike with precision. In one hidden base, she stood before her fighters, her voice fierce. They came to enslave us. They came to burn our homes. They thought we would, Neil, but look around you, we are still here. And now we fight not just for survival, we fight for vengeance. The crowd roared, their voices echoing through the underground halls. Even the youngest among them, children who carried stolen knives, raised their fists. Daniel stood in the front, his jaw set. The fear that once controlled him was gone. Now he felt only fire. Helena's masterpiece far in the mountains. Dr. Helena, Cade completed her most dangerous invention yet. The lab around her was filled with broken alien parts, melted steel, and scraps of human engineering. For months she had worked without rest, her team holding the line against despair. Now she revealed her creation, a captured alien cannon, rewired and remade with human hands. This is not just their weapon anymore, she told her team. It is ours. Their arrogance gave it to us, and with it we will tear them apart. The cannon was tested days later on a patrol ship that drifted too close to the mountains. A single shot split the vessel in half, sending burning fragments crashing into the valleys below. The cheers of the resistance echoed for miles. The aliens realized with horror their own technology was turning against them. Fire across the earth. The war changed shape. No longer were humans only striking and running. Now they fought head-on. In Africa, whole towns rose with spears, rifles, and stolen alien weapons, overwhelming outposts through sheer numbers and fury. In South America, mountains echoed with explosions as rebels destroyed alien fuel reserves. In Asia, scientists hacked alien communications, sending false orders that confused entire fleets. The invaders had come expecting silence. Instead, Earth itself roared against them. Alien commanders called for more troops, more firepower. Cities were bombed again, villages erased, but each attack only bred more anger. Survivors crawled from rubble not broken, but burning with vengeance. One alien soldier captured during a failed raid whispered in fear, "They do not die like others. They rise. Again and again they rise." Daniel's trial. Daniel had fought in many battles now. He had killed, seen comrades fall, carried the wounded through smoke and fire. His eyes had hardened, but his heart was steady. One night, Reyes gave him a task. "You're ready," she said. "We strike their command base in the city. You lead the charge." Daniel froze. "Me?" Reyes nodded. "They see you as one of them, but the fighters see you as more. They follow you now. Prove to them that we will never bow again." The attack came at dawn. Daniel led 50 fighters through the ruins, striking at the alien command post. Plasma fire lit the streets, walls crumbled, men and women screamed, but the humans pressed, unrelenting. At the height of the battle, Daniel planted Helena's disruptor on the command tower. The explosion ripped through alien ranks, their communication lines shattering. The fighters roared in triumph. Daniel stood in the smoke, his rifle raised, his voice carrying through the chaos. "This is for every life they took. This is for Earth." The rebels answered with a thunder that shook the ruins. Fear in the stars above Earth, the alien empire was shaken. Their commanders argued, their voices sharp with panic. "They are not supposed to fight like this. They are spreading. Their anger infects others. They are becoming a threat." Other enslaved species watching from the shadows of the galaxy began to whisper, if humans could fight back, maybe they could too. The Empire's grip, once unbreakable, began to crack. The wrath unleashed, every act of resistance was now more than survival. It was vengeance. Humans carved their message into every burning outpost, every fallen ship, every shattered patrol. "We will never kneel." Reyes's army grew larger with each victory. Helena's weapons spread like wildfire. Daniel became a symbol, the face of a fighter who refused to die. The aliens had thought Earth would be an easy conquest. Instead, they had created their greatest enemy. For now, humanity's wrath was focused on Earth. But whispers began spreading. If we can take back our world, why stop there? Daniel's vision late at night. Daniel sat among the ruins, staring at the alien fleet still looming above. The sky was full of their ships, endless and dark, but now he no longer saw them as invincible. "They still think we are weak," he whispered. "They still think we can't touch them. But soon, we won't just fight on Earth. We will carry this fire into the stars." His words spread among the fighters like prophecy. For the first time, humans were not only dreaming of freedom, they were dreaming of revenge on a galactic scale. The tide had already turned, the storm was already rising, and the aliens had no idea that what was coming next was not just resistance, it was humanity's wrath. The sky above Earth still swarmed with alien ships, black shadows covering the stars. For years they had hovered like gods, untouchable, watching over the broken world below. But the humans who looked up at them now no longer saw gods. They saw prey. The resistance was no longer hiding in tunnels or ruins. It had become an army. Across every continent, fighters stood ready with weapons forged from both human steel and stolen alien technology. The songs of defiance once whispered in the dark were now shouted in the open. And tonight, humanity would strike not just at Earth's invaders, but at their empire itself. The fleet of Earth, it began in secret shipyards buried beneath mountains and oceans. For months, engineers and scientists had worked beside soldiers and survivors. They rebuilt old human warships, patching them with alien engines, reforging them with stolen weapons. Every ship was a scarred survivor, like the people who built them. Now the fleet rose into the sky. Dozens of ships, rough and patched, yet alive with fire. They carried the will of billions who had suffered and sworn vengeance. On the flagship, Daniel stood at the command deck beside Captain Reyes. His hands trembled as he looked out at the stars, but his eyes burned. He had fought in the ashes of cities, seen families destroyed, watched his world broken. Tonight he would watch the Empire bleed. Reyes placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is it. They thought they ended us, but this is only our beginning." Helena's final gift. In the heart of the flagship, Dr. Helena Cade worked furiously at her console. Her hair was gray with ash, her face lined with exhaustion, but her mind shone brighter than ever. Before launch, she had revealed her final weapon, the pulse. a massive disruptor built from the core of a captured alien reactor. Once fired, it could disable whole fleets for precious minutes, minutes humanity would use like a blade. "This is our chance," she told the crew. "If the pulse fails, we lose everything. But if it works, the stars will remember tonight forever." The march into the stars. The fleet rose from Earth like thunder. As the alien armada moved to intercept, humans unleashed the pulse. A wave of invisible energy swept across the skies. Alien ships flickered, their lights dying, their weapons silent. For the first time, their fleet looked helpless. "Now!" Reyes shouted. Human ships tore into the disabled vessels, firing railguns, missiles, and stolen plasma cannons. The dark sky lit with fire as alien warships cracked and exploded, raining fragments down like burning stars. Daniel gripped the controls, his face fierce. Every shot was not just an attack, it was justice. War beyond Earth, but the battle was not only for Earth. Humanity's vengeance carried beyond its skies. The fleet pushed forward, chasing retreating alien ships into orbit and beyond. One by one, human vessels entered hyperspace, carrying their fury into alien territory. They struck at mining worlds where the Empire had enslaved others. They destroyed factories that had built the weapons that burned Earth. They broadcast a single message across every channel, every frequency. "We are humanity. We do not kneel. We will never forgive. We will never forget." The galaxy heard. Enslaved races lifted their heads. Some wept, others whispered, "If humans can rise, so can we." The fall of the Empire. The alien leaders gathered in their great capital, panic clear in their voices. They were nothing. How could they do this? But it was too late. Humanity's fleet appeared above their skies, ships battered and scarred but unyielding, glowing with the fire of vengeance. The pulse fired again. The Empire's proud defenses flickered and fell silent. And then came the storm. Missiles rained down on alien towers. Cannons split their warships. Cities that once celebrated conquest now burned with retribution. Daniel stood at the window of the flagship watching the alien capital crumble. His chest ached, not with fear, but with grim satisfaction. "They wanted us broken," he whispered. "But we are the storm that breaks them." Humanity's voice. When the battle was over, silence fell across the stars. The alien empire, once feared by countless worlds, was shattered. Humanity stood victorious, scarred but unbroken. Their message spread across the galaxy like fire. "We are not weak. We are not prey. We are the vengeance of Earth. Push us too far, and we will rise higher than you can imagine." For the first time in history, humanity was not just defending itself. Humanity was feared. Daniel's reflection. On the bridge of the flagship, Daniel sat in silence. Around him, survivors cheered. Reyes smiled with pride. Helena wept with relief. But Daniel's eyes stayed fixed on the stars. He thought of his father, of the boy who once hid under rubble, of every life lost. He thought of the fire that had grown from grief into rage, from rage into vengeance. "This is not the end," he said softly. "This is who we are. They pushed us too far, and now they will never forget us." Reyes stood beside him. "The galaxy will remember this day. Not the day humanity was conquered, but the day humanity rose." Daniel nodded. He could almost hear the voices of the fallen whispering through the stars, "We are here, we endure, we fight." The legacy on Earth. Survivors climbed out of the ruins to see the sky finally clear. Children who had grown up in fear now pointed to the stars, where the human fleet blazed with victory. In distant worlds, enslaved peoples rose up, inspired by the fire of Earth. The ripple of vengeance spread farther than the humans had dreamed, and across the galaxy, one truth was etched in fire and blood. They pushed humanity too far, and humanity became vengeance.